Heidi Ho, Canadian freedom fighter. We're down at the BRINKS main vault. It's a redo. We're going to see if they violate my Charter of Rights again, and see if they phone the police on us. So this is a redo from a previous BRINKS vault video where they did force me to ID under protest. Today they won't get any information from me. So last time I was here, they phoned the police on me, and the police were going to arrest me for obstruction. I didn't know my complete Charter of Rights at that time, so under protest I did provide ID, but today that's not going to happen. Today they're going to possibly, I'm going to give them a silent audit. It's against our Charter of Rights to force us to ID unless we're a driver of a car or about to commit a crime, in the process of committing a crime, or have committed the crime. So public photography is not a crime. So we're going to see if they violate our Charter of Rights again. Not sure how long this video is going to last, but we'll let it go for about 20 minutes or so. I watched a video yesterday on Eric Brandt. He may be getting out of jail. He's an auditor from the States who was illegally arrested. However, they've illegally arrested him many, many times. So we're going to see if BRINKS are bad today, or if BRINKS is going to be good. You're watching on Facebook, Heidi Ho, Canadian freedom fighter, and we're here at the BRINKS vault in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and we're going to see if they are violators or not violators. Last time I was here, they phoned the police, and the police were going to arrest me for obstruction. At that time I wasn't aware of my full Charter of Rights, and we don't even have to talk to the police. So we'll see what happens today. Public photography is not a crime, and I'm on the sidewalk on public property, so there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. If BRINKS wants privacy, they shouldn't have their address listed in the Saskatoon phone book. Shouldn't be listed. But they don't want privacy, they're listed in the Saskatoon phone book. So we're going to see if they're going to be violators or not violators. So I'm recording static on my Canon camera, and I'm recording on Live 2 or on Facebook with my new LG phone. So we'll see what's going to happen. Canadian freedom fighter. It's a little windy today. Air is a mess, but that's all right. If they do call the cops on me, I have a medical license, so I will be immediately lighting up a joint, because that's my right. I can smoke my medical marijuana anywhere that you can smoke a cigarette, and my medical license is good for 21 ounces in my possession at any time. I was watching Johnny 5-0 last night, and the cop that killed Floyd, he actually worked with Floyd as a bouncer at a bar, so they've had 17 years of history, and they did not get along. So that most likely is a part of the problem why he murdered him. I hope the other 3 pigs get charged with murder also. They were complicit in the murder of Floyd. As we know, there's been many protests going on throughout the United States about the murder of Floyd. They also had a police officer from St. Paul, Minnesota, that was undercover, and he was breaking windows with a hammer. He's what's called a provocateur, and they tried chasing him down, but he got away on them. But his ex-wife identified him as being the perpetrator of breaking the windows, and then shortly after the windows were broken, somebody threw a gallon of gasoline into it, which caused the fire. So what the police are trying to do is make the protesters look bad so that they can use violence against the protesters, even though they're not doing anything. West Coast Digital was actually arrested also for doing nothing wrong other than public photography, and he was held for over 3 hours and then was released. But the biggest story is that Eric Brandt may be getting freed, which would be great because he's been in jail since December and held on the 7th floor, which is infected with COVID-19 at their county jail. And he has asthma problems, so he shouldn't even be on the 7th floor. But because he's an advocate, they'd like nothing more than to have him dead, as they're really cruel to our First Amendment auditors in the States. Our auditor, Orange Man, on Vancouver Island, apparently did catch COVID-19. I hope he's doing okay. Orange Man, First Amendment audits. Have to keep an eye out, so the cops have a tendency to want to sneak up on you. But again, it's against our Charter of Rights unless we're a driver of a car, or we're about to commit a crime, in the process of committing a crime, or have been caught committing the crime. So the cop that forced me to ID under threat of arrest for obstruction, as I said to him in my BRINKS video, he's a scum bucket, he's a violator, And I am starting a lawsuit against the city of Saskatoon, and I am going to personally sue that police officer, because in Canada, police officers do not have qualified immunity. They can be personally sued. So in small claims court for $100, I can register my lawsuits, and in small claims court in Saskatchewan, the maximum was $30,000. So I'm hoping to collect $60,000 in damages from the city. The police officer also violated Saskatoon City Hall policy of they cannot have favoritism, and he was using the excuse that BRINKS handles money so that they're special status. Well, they're not special status. They have no status. They're no different than anybody else. So that was a violation of City Hall policy. So we're going to go after him, and we're going to sue the City Hall. I'm out today in my electric scooter, and I haven't even used a battery cell. So I got good electricity driving down here, and I'll have lots of electricity for driving back home. But these people at BRINKS, they need to be taught a lesson that public photography is not a crime. It took about 20 minutes for the cops to show up last time. So we'll see. We'll let this video go for about a half an hour and see if they are violators or not violators. So we'll see if they get a pass or if they fail our Canadian Charter of Rights for public photography. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Saskatoon. I'm not sure of what time it is. I didn't check. But my camera tells me how long I've been videotaping. So far we have nobody in the house on Facebook, but on Facebook I can record live. So if I am hassled, I have a permanent video, because I've had the police in Abbotsford force me to delete videos, which again is against our Charter of Rights. Unless they have a court order, they cannot make you delete your videos. And they had no court order and threatened to seize my equipment if I didn't delete it. And then when I did delete it, they seized my equipment anyways, and then forensically deleted it. So I was lucky enough to recover the first 9 minutes of going into the Abbotsford Federal Penitentiary. And the last thing I say on the video is that I will leave the property, but they impeded my progress of leaving, assaulted me numerous times during trying to leave their property. They ended up giving me a brain injury and tearing my rotator cusper. And when I got out to the sidewalk, they assaulted me again, stole my video equipment from me, gave it to the police, and insisted to the police that the video to be deleted. Well, under our Charter of Rights, it says that we can photograph any government site or buildings. So I was on a publicly accessible road going into the visitors parking. So again, I was doing nothing wrong. However, they wanted to be violators, and they violated me good. And I have a case with the complaint commissioner, and on June 1st, the officer that's in charge of the investigation is supposed to be phoning me back to conclude what is going to be done about my violation of rights. But I sent him a Gmail of our Charter of Rights explaining our rights for public photography and that they had no right to interfere with me, let alone force me to delete my videos, and then turn around and seize my equipment anyways and forensically deleted them. So I want my videos to be recovered at their expense because they're violators. And that's what happens when you're a violator. So I'm just going to go for a cruise up and down the sidewalk for a bit. I met a guy named George today. He's legally blind, and he's having problems with the government because they seized his daughter from him, and he's been fighting with them for years to get custody of his daughter back. So I might be going out and doing an interview with him tomorrow about his problems. And he wants to get into the public photography with me, so I could definitely use a backup cameraman. So we're going to go and videotape the Federal Psychiatric Institution in Saskatoon out on Central Avenue, and we're going to record license plates from the sidewalk. Last time I was there, the guard tried to steal my equipment. He did batter me, and we're going to deal with them later. There's their one security camera. So we know that they're looking at me, but they were cowards last time and wouldn't come out and talk to me. They just phoned the police to have the police violate my rights. So I have a medical marijuana license, so I'm going to be lighting up a joint shortly. With a medical marijuana license in Canada, you can smoke anywhere that anybody can smoke a cigarette. So I'll be lighting up a joint here shortly. Again, my prescription is good for 21 ounces in my possession at any time. It also says on our licenses that we may choose to buy from a licensed producer, which means that we can buy our medical marijuana anywhere we want. So I just had my license renewed, so I'm good for another year. Every year you have to renew it, but there is a page 2 to the medical marijuana license, and page 2 is only if you want to have a licensed producer. Well, why would you want to have a licensed producer when you can buy it cheaper on the street and most likely a better grade than you can from a dispensary? So you're watching Heidi Ho, Canadian freedom fighter, on YouTube. Right now I'm recording live on Facebook, and I'm recording static on my Canon camera. So when I get home, I'll be uploading this video to my YouTube channel. And George, who is legally blind, wants to go out and do videos with me. So when I get home later, I'll be phoning George, and he'd like to do audits with me. So it's always nicer to have more than one person to audit with. I have lots of cameras, so he can use one of my cameras to record on YouTube. But the provincial government has just been giving him a nightmare with seizing his daughter from him, and using the excuse that he's blind, that he can't take care of his daughter. Well, we know that's crap and corruption. He has 20% vision, so there's no excuse that he can't look after his daughter. But he still doesn't have custody of his daughter. The grandmother does. So that's where I met him today, was on the sidewalk scootering here. So I'm going to do an interview with him tomorrow, and he's going to start joining me on public photography. Until he gets a camera of his own, I'm going to let him use one of my cameras. Once again, please hit like and subscribe. Leave me a comment if you'd like. I have about 127 subscribers, but just about 5,000 views of my videos. I'm gonna have to put the camera down for a minute so I can light up a joint. Just bear with me. Gonna have to take off my jacket. It's too warm, so I'm gonna have to lay my camera down. People tell me that I have a bear following me. It's my A&W root beer jacket. I've had it for about 15 years now. And I call my electric scooter the Eric Mobile, after Eric Brandt. We don't have anybody in the house yet on Facebook, but that's okay because that's being recorded live, so that can't be deleted. You guys, when you do watch or this video, that is my backup proof, because I've already had equipment deleted once already illegally. They can't delete Facebook, only I can. My joint keeps going out. BRINKS thinks they have special privileges because they handle money, but they don't. If they wanted secrecy, they shouldn't have their name and address in the Saskatoon phone book. Pretty easy to find them. All you gotta do is look in the phone book. I've got about 127 subscribers. I need 1,000 subscribers, and then I can live record on YouTube. But I've got just about 6,000 views of the videos that I have made. So I'm quite happy with having that many views. I'm not even a year old yet. But when you hit like, that triggers the YouTube algorithm, and the more likes that you get, the more possibility that your videos will be shown randomly on YouTube. So please hit subscribe. Subscribe is always free. Oh, please hit like, and if you'd like, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of my videos, whether you like them or you don't. If you don't like my videos, you can give me a thumbs down. That's okay. So George wants to come with me when I do the Federal Psychiatric Criminally Insane Penitentiary out in Sutherland in Saskatoon. And we're just going to stand on the sidewalk on public property, and we're going to photograph cars going in and out of the institution. They don't like that. They didn't like it the last time I was there. So it's time to do a redo of them also. However, they were so rude and mean to me that when they did call the police on me, the police officer met me at Robin's Donuts and bought me a coffee because he was ashamed of the fact of what the guards had done to me, because they had battered me and tried to steal my camera right in front of his eyes. So not all cops are bad. I've had 2 cops that treated me with great dignity and respect. One was down at the Saskatoon Police parking lot. Hey! Happy Fuck the Cops Day! No peace, no justice, fuck the police. Again, on Johnny 5-0's channel, they discovered that one of the first people that started doing vandalism was apparently a cop from St. Paul, and he was all dressed in black, carrying a black umbrella and wearing a full gas mask, and he started smashing out all the windows with a hammer. And then shortly after that, somebody ran up and threw a gallon of gasoline inside the building and lit it on fire. So that was the cause of the fire. The French have a word they call provocateur, and that's when somebody deliberately institutes problems to cause more grief, to make protesters look as if they're the bad people. But his ex-wife identified him. The police chief was interviewed and said that no, that specific cop was on duty that day. So they're going to FOIA all of his body cam footage and where he was that day and what calls did he answer. And he better be able to have places he was going and body cam footage of where he was at. And dash cam service, or dash cam video, because they're supposed to be running that stuff. But there's nothing worse than a person that starts smashing windows and then what appears to be another cop throwing gasoline into the building and lighting that building on fire. I forget the name of the building, but it was just down from the police station, and it was the first one that was vandalized and set on fire. Well, got to set the camera down again for a minute. I'm going to do an adjustment on my monopod here. There, that might be a better height. So I was wishing to have a backup camera person to go with me, and looks like I found one. So in the States, there's a person that's totally blind. His channel's called Blind Man Audits. He was assaulted inside a police station by some police officers. He didn't even know what was happening. Nobody would identify themselves, telling them that he was police officers. Yet he had his white cane, and they were very, very rough on handling him. That's Blind Man Audits, First Amendment audits in the States. We have an auditor, Orange Man, First Amendment audits. He's based in Victoria. Apparently, I heard that he caught the virus, so he hasn't been out making any new videos, but he's been doing uploads of other people's videos or some of his old videos over again. We have two auditors in Canada, in Calgary. One of them is called Canadian Rights Media, and when I was assaulted at the Abbotsford Federal Jail, he contacted me and let me know some things about what was going on. I think the other channel is called CDW, but I'm not sure. I've been watching a lot of pedophile audits from the States, CC unit, and predator poachers. And predator poachers were advertising some products that they sell. So I bought a Predator's Poacher face mask. I was hoping it'd be delivered by now. Hey! But it's still in the mail. But what's unique about it is that it says Predator Poachers, and they specialize in catching pedophiles. You know, it's funny, the cops don't like them doing it, but within a couple months of starting their shows, they've had over close to 1,000 pedophiles caught using social media to find underage boys or underage girls. And I don't know if it's true in Canada, but in the States, it's against the law to lure a minor on the internet. So they like having the children meet them at, for some reason they really prefer Targets and Walmart stores. But in Canada, we're totally different on that aspect. In Canada, it's against the law for you. If you have knowledge of abuse of a child, it is against the law for you not to report your feelings to Child Protective Services, the police, or the school if the child, you know what school they belong to. But in Canada, once again, it is a criminal code infraction not to tell. So that is a major, major bonus of Canadian law. Just the fact that once you catch these predators, Poacher Predators Toronto, they also have Lower Fraser Valley. I forget what the last part of their channel's called. But, you know, it's just unbelievable of how many pedophiles that there are. And they all have the same thing in common. But this was my first time. I promise I'll never do it again. What can I do? What can I say? I'm so sorry. I apologize. I apologize. I wouldn't have hurt that person. Yeah, right. That's what every rapist says to their victim too. But they loved it. I never hurt them. Yeah, right. The only person that wasn't hurt was the pedophile. Unfortunately, I know about 3 or 4 people that were abused, and this affects your whole life. It's not just something that goes away. They screw up your brain for life. And in the States, they're advocating for the death penalty. And I 100% agree with it. It's incurable. They catch the same people over and over again. So just be done with them. Lethal injection. And I'm just killing dead airspace. But the person that knelt on Floyd's neck, his lethal death penalty should be that he gets weights put on his neck so that the last things that he thinks of as he's either being strangled or blood stopped flowing to his brain is he'll feel like George did. He'll have those last moments of life to reflect. And if they couldn't find anybody to do it, I'd be more than happy to do it. I'd have absolutely no remorse. And I can say that because in my early youth, I was a paid professional killer. I have quite a few kills that shouldn't really talk about, but I was a paid professional killer. My last video was I went to the Saskatoon impound lot, and way hiding in the impound lot were 4 police cars all smashed up in the front end. Now, it's an impound lot. Why are 4 police cars hiding in the impound lot? Were the driver of those vehicles impaired that the vehicle was impounded? Makes you wonder why they're not being sold for scrap. But to be at the Saskatoon impound lot, I found that very, very fishy. Hey, happy videotaping the BRINKS Vault Day today. They don't like it when I do it. Heidi Ho, Canadian freedom fighter. Last time I was at this location when the cop snuck up on me, I never even knew he was there. Sometimes they threatening you with loitering, but loitering includes having no purpose. Well, if you're practicing your Canadian Charter of Rights and you're on public property or public accessible property, you can record. It's a beautiful day in Saskatoon. So the reason I brought the loitering up is because I'm just sitting in my electric scooter. They can't say I'm loitering on the sidewalk because I have a purpose. I'm exercising my Canadian Charter of Rights for public photography. Again, we're at the BRINKS Vault in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. If you look up BRINKS in the phone book, it'll give you their address. So it's not a secret location. When I first started watching YouTube, I started off watching Second Amendment audits, where in almost all of the states it's legal to open carry, which means a long rifle unconcealed. I think there's a restriction on the length of the barrel, but a lot of them either use ARs or AKs, and it's also legal in Florida to carry a weapon if you're fishing, hunting, or camping, and it's legal to carry from point A to point B. So I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. Yoko Lacto Auditors, Second Amendment audits in Florida, so loco, and he gets harassed quite a bit, but all he's doing is practicing his rights. If you haven't watched News Now California, that's a really good channel to watch. SGV News, West Coast Digital, Johnny 5-0, James Freeman, one of my favorite is Travis Hines, Hinzes, I believe. Same spelling as ketchup, Heinz. But he hasn't been harassed for a long time. But his favorite saying was, when he was asked for ID, would be, well, I'm willing to make a trade. I'll trade my ID, and you can trade me your ID. And, of course, it catches them by confusion. So, again, Travis Hines is a legal First Amendment auditor, and he's a traveler, so he travels all across the U.S. One of my other favorite channels is New England Truth. News Now Patrick. News Now Houston. And News Now Community. And I think I said Blind Man Audits. Eric Brandt is an excellent channel, but since he's been in jail since December, he has new content, or no content. But if you pull up his channel and watch his shows, he's going to shock you. He is a great defender of First Amendment rights. I heard that he was an engineer on a nuclear submarine for the nuclear reactor. But unfortunately, he's in jail right now. He had a hearing today, or on Friday, So he might be getting out finally. I think he has to come up with a $2,000 cash bond, but they wanted a $20,000 cash bond, and another one was for $40,000 or $50,000. He missed a court date on a previous charge for First Amendment auditing, but he didn't make the court date because he was arrested in another city. So they raised the bail on him and didn't care that he was incarcerated and had no way to contact them or to let them know that he was in jail. But he had one of his friends in court who tried to explain that the reason he's not here is because he's under arrest in another holding facility. But he is a targeted amendment auditor, so he's been arrested numerous times. But he has the wonderful saying of, "Hey, what day's today?" "No, today's Happy Fuck the Cops Day, and twice on Thursdays." No peace, no justice, fuck the police. And a lot of people have copied those. Furry Potato News is running for president in the 2020 elections. And I heard a rumor that SGV News First is possibly going to head up the FBI. So it's starting to cloud over in Saskatoon, but it's a beautiful day. This is a Saturday. I might have to come back on a Monday or a Tuesday, a weekday. But there's definitely somebody inside, and they can definitely see me on their camera. So they know I'm here, just like they knew I was here last time. But it's a beautiful non-windy days. It really sucks on the audio when the wind noise is loud. On my Canon camera, there's not a spot to plug in a external mic. But on my A1 technology camera with night vision, it's equipped with a mic outfit. So I think I'm going to buy myself an external mic with a windsock over it. And on windy days I can use it. As soon as it's safe to fly, I'll be flying back to my second location, Mission, British Columbia. So I live in Mission, British Columbia, and I also live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Until this stupid virus hit, I'd fly back every 6 weeks. And when it was 20 below here, it was +6, +7 in Mission, so quite a difference in temperature. Well, I didn't realize, not that I could see, but I had my comments turned off on Facebook. So one person has left me a message, but the sun's facing the wrong way, so I can't see the screen. I can see the screen on my Canon camera. It's a PowerShot SX540 HS 50 times optical zoom. So I'm quite happy with that purchase. I'd like to buy a camera that has around a 300 times optical zoom. Makes a really big difference. I'd also like to buy a parabolic mic for the A1 technology camera. And of course, it can also be hooked up to the cell phone camera on its ear jack. But it would be great for picking up conversations that are being talked away about you where you can't hear them, but you definitely pick them up with the parabolic mic. When I was in high school, we actually made parabolic mics. They were about a foot long. They're actually a salad bowl dish with fiberglass and then fiberglass resin on the inside, and then a hole drilled through the back, and the microphone hooked up. So making a parabolic mic, if you have access to the mic pickup, is really a cheap investment. But then I haven't priced out what a parabolic mic would be worth anyway, so I have no real knowledge on the aspect. But again, I'm just talking because of dead air silence. On my Canon camera, it says I can see the screen. We've been recording for 59 minutes, so I'll go about another 10 minutes and see what happens. However, when you're watching on your laptop, it's always great to fast forward if there's nothing happening. Just keep skipping forwards, and contacts either happen early or they happen late. I don't know how to edit yet, so I can't edit the length of the videos. I just upload them raw, unedited.